The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Vindman, I think the follow-up question that my colleague from New York did not ask you, but is relevant for everyone at home, isn't it true that the Department of Defense had certified that the anti-corruption requirements of Ukraine had been met when the hold was put on by the president?
That is correct.
Oh! That's it. That's all you need to know. No, I'm serious. That was the most important little, 19 seconds of this whole thing this morning, which was, the Republicans are bizarre. Everything that they are trying to say as a defense is crumbling each and every day these hearings go on. But the most important thing that crumbled today was the idea that Donald Trump was so concerned about Ukrainian corruption that he zeroed in on just one company and, of course, the one that Hunter Biden sat on its board as being, the one that he wanted to look at and nothing else. It's very sick because I've told you this before. I'll tell you this again. We know this because of the testimony of the DOD officer who gave a deposition in this matter, that is that the Department of Defense had certified that Ukraine had met its anti-corruption benchmarks in order for America to give it lethal weapons. That's a true thing that happened. Donald Trump put this hold on the money saying he was interested in corruption. Bullcrap. He's lying. He was interested in dirt that would benefit himself on Joe Biden. There is really nothing more mysterious about this particular case, okay? And witness after witness after witness after witness have all testified that there was something inappropriate. I mean, they used different words. Some said inappropriate. Some said alarming. Some said, this was a political agenda, didn't have anything to do with policy, that this was personal in nature. This was not national security. All these witnesses, every single one of them. You've heard from George Kent. We've heard from Bill Taylor. We've heard now from Lt.Col.Vindman. We heard from Jennifer Williams, who was, the Mike Pence's, national security aide. She said that the phone call was unusual and inappropriate, and it shed some light on possible other motivations. And she is like, a complete and utter conservative, obviously, when you look at where she worked and how she got into politics and, blah, 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 before she became, a national security person. Obviously, she was brought in because of her loyalties to the Republican Party. I mean, it's just none of this fleshes out. The Republicans are just disgusting, dirty dogs who question. See, now they're down to this. They're down to the facts are the facts, all these different people, and I told you before these impeachment inquiry at public hearings started, that what you were going to hear was a bunch of witnesses who were going to tell the story, the same story, but from different vantage points. Some of them were in Vice President Pence's office. Some of them were working for the White House. Some of them were working for the National Security Council. Some of them were, right? And so everybody would tell the same story, which is amazing, but from different vantage points. People understanding, like Jennifer Williams, she didn't understand what was going on with the White House. She only understood that Mike Pence was supposed to go to the inaugural because Trump didn't want to go, and that before a date was even set for the inaugural, Donald Trump said, Mike Pence is not going. I don't want him to go. And she didn't understand why. She understood that there was a hold placed on the aid by Mick Mulvaney at OMB, but she didn't know why. Other witnesses, they do know more. They know why. They know they've seen text messages, right? They've been involved in text messages back and forth. Bill Taylor was on text messages, right? So everybody's telling the same damn story, that this president was completely disloyal to this country because he wanted to use our tax dollars, our appropriated money, $400 million for the security of the United States and Ukraine, who had met the benchmarks, the anti-corruption benchmarks that were set for them by our Department of Defense, and that those benchmarks were met prior to him putting the hold on the money. And now he claims it was all about corruption in Ukraine. That just doesn't wash.
Lt.Col.Vindman, I think the follow-up question that my colleague from New York did not ask you, but is relevant for everyone at home. Isn't it true that the Department of Defense had certified that the anti-corruption requirements of Ukraine had been met when the hold was put on by the president?
That is correct.
Fatality.
Whoops, there goes the whole corruption argument. Whoops. I'm telling you. So what did the Republicans do today? The Republicans asked about why Lt.Col.Vindman is wearing his uniform. They asked about, a joke in the Ukrainian defense ministry about asking Vindman to go work for them. They asked about, are you leakers? Who's the whistleblower? You've been trying to impeach him for 3 years. You didn't follow the chain of command. It's just nobody said bribery. That's because they're fact witnesses. They're not legal scholars. They weren't asked to draw a legal conclusion about what they were hearing. They were only asked what facts could they testify to with firsthand knowledge. That's it. That's all they were asked.
Just want to follow up on some of the earlier questions about President Zelensky's statements after this scandal came to light. When he was asked, were you pressured? How'd the phone call go, et cetera? Ukrainians, Mr. Kent, are pretty sophisticated about U.S. politics, are they not?
This is the other day. Which one did I want to play? I don't know. Oh, let's do this one.
Let's take a look at a couple of excerpts from this call. And right after President Zelensky thanked President Trump for the United States support in the area of defense, President Trump asks President Zelensky for a favor and then raises this theory of Ukrainian interference in the 2016 election. He says in the highlighted portion, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people, the server. They say Ukraine has it. Now, Colonel Vindman, was this statement based on the official talking points that you had prepared?
No.
And was this statement related to the 2016 Ukraine interference in the 2016 election part of the official U.S. policy?
No, it was not.
Now, at the time of this July 25th call, Colonel Vindman, were you aware of a theory that Ukraine had intervened or interfered in the 2016 U.S. election?
I was.
Are you aware of any credible evidence to support this theory?
I am not.
Are you also aware that Vladimir Putin had promoted this theory of Ukrainian interference in the 2016 election?
I am well aware of that fact.
Oh! And ultimately, which country did U.S. intelligence services determine to have interfered in the 2016 election?
It is the consensus of the entire intelligence community that the Russians interfered in U.S. elections in 2016.
Fatality.
I mean, every crazy conspiracy theory is being debunked in real time under oath by people with firsthand knowledge. So there is nothing. So what now? Oh, well, let's attack his uniform. Let's say you went to a lawyer. You should have gone to, Tim Morrison for some reason. Question his loyalty to this country. Because anybody that's not loyal to Donald Trump has to have their loyalty questioned, even if you're loyal to the U.S. Constitution, took a bullet or got bombed. I mean, this guy was blown up by an improvised roadside bomb. But let's question his service to the nation. Now, maybe, it's, wow.